Welcome, everyone, to another episode of What If Nothing Is Wrong With You. My name is Paula D. Atkinson.
And I am Lisa K. Kays.
And this is our friend and producer, Nemeka. Thanks, everyone, for joining us on another episode. Today, we're going to talk about loneliness. If you are awake, you've probably heard about the male loneliness epidemic. And so we're not just going to talk about that, although I'm sure that will come up, but we're just going to talk about loneliness in general because we hear a lot about it from our clients. And so we're going to talk about our thoughts on it and how we can quote unquote cure it. Although I don't know if that's possible in late stage capitalism, but we're going to do our best on how to combat it and perhaps how to live within it. Circumvent it? I don't know what the verb is, but we're going to do our best. First, we have some chit chat. So Lisa, what's yours?
So you recommended the book Educated.
Girl.
I read it I think I read it in like 2 days.
Yep.
On vacation. I have a couple of things I want to say. First of all, it is so good. It is so good. I am recommending it to people, first of all, who are struggling with the part of them that keeps going back to harmful relationships.
Yes.
Or like abuse it, because I mean, I don't want to give the book away, but like she goes back and the more she does it, the more you're like, this is the last time, right? But it's
right.
She also makes sense of why, of the tension, of the difficulty, of the dilemma. And she's such a good writer.
Yes.
And so I've been recommending it to people who are mad at themselves. I'm like, just go read this book about this woman that kept going back.
Yes.
Because she makes it's so complicated. So I thought following on the boomers and the no contact, it was just so interesting and beautiful how she writes about it. The second thing I want to say is that there is a quote in it that stopped me in my tracks. And I gave the book to a friend. It was so good. I saw a friend on the way back from vacation. I was like, you have to have this book. Go read it.
Take this.
So it's not verbatim, but it's at the end of the book. And she says, guilt is fear of our own wretchedness.
Yes.
And it has nothing to do with the other person. And I was like, oh my God.
Correct.
Beautiful. And I don't think we think of it that way. Like,
right.
We constantly want other people to give us permission to like do the thing for ourselves and we're just afraid that we're bad, horrible, terrible people. That's all we're afraid of. And it has nothing to do. I just was like, wow, that just stopped me. So anyway, guilt is fear of our own wretchedness. We can reflect on that when we're taking our 10 minutes to do something for ourselves.
It's also like such great foreshadowing for some of my points around loneliness. I mean, we think that other people are supposed to cure our loneliness. And what if it's not? What if it's about your relationship with yourself? Foreshadowing.
Okay. We're ready.
Yeah.
Okay. We're ready for that.
Yeah.
The third thing is just a weird coincidence so in this book, she is pulled out of much of what she's dealing with by Mormon professors. She ends up at BYU.
Yep.
Like, that's not a plot twist for anybody.
Sure.
I too. So now I'm wondering, because I went to college and I did not experience what she experienced, but a Mormon professor made a profound, like, life-altering influence in my life by telling me first that I was smart, by like taking my ideas. It was so, and I was like, well, how many of us? At first, I just thought professors in general, like, I wonder how many traumatized people have come out of like traumatized homes and found, I never think about college professors in this way, but they're kind of the first line of adult intervention into a kid's life. And mine also happened to be a Mormon. So I was like, well, that's weird. But I mean, I named my youngest son's middle name is the name of this professor because he had such a significant impact in my life. So isn't that interesting? Just a little tidbit about professors who I don't think we think of as mental health.
Oh, but yes.
interventionists. But I think they are.
They're very powerful. It's sort of like the internet. They are very powerful for good or for evil because they can have just as much, they can have just, right? They can do just as much damage as they can do good. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
I love that.
The book is Educated, and it's very good.
And it came out 7 years ago, and we're out here plugging
it's 7 years old? I thought it was brand new.
No. Oh, yeah. No, it came out in like 2018. It's so good, though. It's, I mean.
It's so good.
It's so good. I have a brand new book. I'm very proud of myself to plug something in our chit chat that is actually a new thing, and that is this book. Actors of a Certain Age. It's backwards because of the screen, but it's called Actors of a Certain Age. It's by Jeff Hiller, who plays Joel on Somebody Somewhere, who is the cutest, sweetest.
Love him.
I know, everyone loves him. He's the most lovable person who's ever existed. This book is so funny and so cute. And if you need something that's not like educated, because it's just like delicious. It's like eating gelato in Florence, Italy. It's just delightful. It's so good. He's so sweet and complete name dropping. I have met him a couple times because he lived upstairs from my friend Tom. Hi, Tom. Tom listens to the podcast. He lived upstairs from him when Tom lived in Astoria, Queens. And so I've met him a couple times, and he's so tall. He's so tall. I just remember meeting him. I'm like, you are the tallest gay man I've ever met in my life. But he's so sweet, and his vibration on the show as Joel is his vibration. It's just like so accepting and so permission giving and so lovely. And the book is so funny and self-deprecating, and it's about him growing up as he and Joel, the character Joel on Somebody Somewhere. Also, have we already plugged that show? If you've not watched that show, watch that show.
My
oh
God.
Of course we did.
As someone from Missouri, I can so endorse that show.
Well, and also, yeah, of course we talked about it because Carlo and I went and met Murray Hill. So yes, we talked about that show. Yes. So good. But yeah, the book is delightful. If you want just a like delicious, goes down easy, so fun to read, didn't want it to end book, read this one. I love you, Jeff. Love you, Jeff.
I do want that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially as I feel like September, we're recording this at the beginning of September. Who knows when it will come out? Maybe 2027, whatever. But I feel like we all get back to school vibrations, even though I haven't been in school in 20 years. There's still, I feel like it's ingrained because my mom used to say you spend the first 20 years of your life going to school every September. And I feel like it's in your body. Like, even if you don't, it's like still in our bodies. So if you need something to ease your back to school anxiety, read this delicious book, Actress of a Certain Age. He's also obsessed with celebrity memoirs. So every chapter is named after some other celebrity's memoir. It's really cute.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love him. I love that show. I love him. Wonderful.
It's all just delicious. It's all just
great,
delightful and delicious, which is what we need right now. Okay.
Well, tell us a therapy horror
story.
Right?
Paula. Okay, so let's...
Speaking of not delicious.
Speaking of something that's not fun and delicious and does not go down easy, this is another therapy horror story, which keep them coming, friends. If you have some, please send them to us. So I had a therapist who tried to talk me out of letting my 17-year-old start hormone therapy. The therapist's argument was that their frontal lobe wasn't fully formed. Interesting. My big hope at that point was my kid would stay in this world long enough to have a fully formed brain, because we know a lot of gender nonconforming kids don't want to stay on the fucking planet. I stopped seeing this therapist shortly after this. Takeaway, there's a difference between LGBTQ friendly and gender nonconforming affirming, or LGBTQ plus affirming therapists. So pick the ones that are more than just accepting, more than just we've talked about this on this podcast before. There's a lot of therapists out there that will tolerate you. Is that what you want? You want to just be tolerated? Or do you want to be affirmed? Do you want to be supported? Do you want to be understood? Do you want to be seen for more than just maybe your gender identity or your sexual identity, et cetera, et cetera? That's so gross.
It's so gross. And I did just want to say, because Angela Brooks Livingston gave a wonderful, she's a clinician, and gave a wonderful interview on, if you're a clinician, on Clearly Clinical, which is a free podcast.
Oh, nice.
On the actual guidelines for this, and how you would actually assess, and how you don't have to rely on their frontal lobe isn't formed. So let's not let them do anything,
make any decisions about themselves,
not be on the planet. And it's so well, I mean, I use it for my CEs, but it's so well done and researched. I learned a ton. It's called Inclusive Care, Raising the Ethical Standard for Supporting Gender Diverse Clients. If you are a therapist, or even just a person, if you're a parent and you're what do I do? My kid might be trans or might have, like, this is a great podcast that explores like the history of all of this, how we got where we are. It's a great resource because it turns out there's actual information
So
instead
much.
of just saying they're 14, so they don't know what they're doing.
They don't know who they are. Okay.
17, whatever.
Sure.
Like,
yes.
So tiring.
Also, I mean, I always feel like this with the hormone therapy. It's just hormones. If they stop taking it, it leaves their body, and no harm, no foul. Okay, let them try it. See if they feel better.
Right.
Jesus Christ.
Also, the rates, what the episode goes into actually is that the rates of people who want to do that and regret it are like
nil.
And most of them, it's if they do regret it, it's not because they feel like they made a mistake about who they are. It's because of the social backlash that they receive.
Yeah.
So it's like the risk that it is
So
that anybody's going to wake up and be like, hey, I think I want to be a different gender than I am. And that's going to be like a phase is actually quite low, which I was shocked by the statistics on it. And like, people know themselves.
Turns out.
People know themselves. That's
What
not
if
something you
nothing's wrong
just
with
wake
you?
up and say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also maybe I have a client whose child woke up one day and they were in junior high and they were like, I want to be on hormones because they're an AFAB person, which means assigned female at birth. And they decided they wanted to be on hormones. And so they were for a little while. And then they were like, this doesn't feel good. I don't want to do it anymore. And never mind, I actually do identify as a woman. Okay. Who the fuck cares? Great.
Yeah.
Nice. Wonderful.
It can be undone and reversed.
Sure.
And like, yeah.
No harm, no foul. Fantastic. Explore it. Explore all the options. Child.
And kind of going back to, I think parents and kids kind of know themselves.
Exactly.
Right? Like they know, it's like, so if a parent is saying like that my child is going to be in danger of harming themselves, it's like just
right.
That's probably true.
It probably is.
So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then one more thing before we get into the main course. Oh, and we just released our Boomer episode. And it seems like y'all enjoyed it. As much as it pained me and Lisa to make it happen. And we don't mean that was painful, but we were like, we have to do this. And I don't like making gross generalizations, but some of our generalizations seems like they have been very healing for the general public. So this is one of our favorite comments.
This comment, had I been drinking something, it would have come out my nose. It was, I stopped calling the various boomers in my family for this very reason. This was the short that we made about how boomers often don't ask their kids any questions about them.
They're not curious.
So I stopped. Yeah, they're not curious about their children. I stopped calling for this very reason. They could tell me how fat I'd gotten, but never asked about my life as a, in all caps, combat photographer.
Oh my God.
Which made me wonder how many people have unconsciously chosen super risky or like exciting careers just to like get their parents to ask them about it. They were like, I'll go be this niche, interesting, and still no. Combat photographer, guys, that
right?
Not enough. So go do whatever you want to do.
They're never going to ask you about it anyway. Doesn't matter. Do whatever you want. You know, the first thing I thought of when I read that one was like, and then every comment I read, I was like, all of the parents are Lucille Bluth. They're all like Arrested Development. Like they never, right? Like just commenting on Lindsay's body, not at all interested in who she is. That character is one of the most magical, incredible, most genius characters ever on television. Both Bluth parents, but Lucille Bluth forever, and that's precisely who I thought of when she was like, she's not asking me about my fantastically dangerous and exciting and profound career.
Yeah,
but she is worried about how much I weigh. The number of times I've said to a client, "How sad that your parents have this magical, brilliant, incredible daughter and all they give a fuck is how much you weigh." That's so sad.
Yeah. It's so sad. Oy.
So keep those coming too.
Yes, keep those coming. And I think maybe that segues into why everybody feels so freaking lonely.
You think?
So one cure is you can ask people questions about themselves. That might go somewhere.
You could do the opposite of what the boomers do and actually be curious about people. That might work. Yes.
Yeah, that might work. We could try it.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about loneliness. And the reason why we're doing this episode is because Lisa and I were like, what should we talk about next? And then I think, Lisa sent me several polos that were like, well, I talked to this woman about her marriage. She's profoundly lonely. And then I talked to this woman about her marriage. She's profoundly lonely. And then I was like, should we talk about loneliness? It seems to be coming up quite a lot. And then, of course, all of the quote unquote research on the quote unquote male loneliness epidemic, to which I'm like, could it have anything to do with, I don't know, how they behave? Yeah. So let's talk about loneliness as an epidemic for all beings in this point in our history. So the first thing that I wanted to say, and it just happened to be the first thing. Did you want to say something else, Lisa?
Well, I was going to say, in your observations, do you feel like the married women are lonelier than the single women?
Yes.
Or is it the same?
No. That the right, what is this? The happiest people on earth are married men and single women. And I think a lot of times the loneliest people are married mothers. That is what I have found. And that's the married mothers.
That is my
assessment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my sense too. And I'm always like, am I biased? But I also, it's so interesting because so many women, I think, want to get married or have children because they think it will make them not lonely, which does mean that there's some loneliness in singledom.
Sure.
But I'm always like, that is not the way. I think it increases women's loneliness. And I just wanted to check that against because I think our practices are made up of different people.
Yeah.
And so I was just curious about your observation.
Right. You have far more straight married people than I do.
Way more like straight married moms. Yeah.
Yeah. If I have a married mom in my practice and she reports her loneliness, I offer that she could just pretend she's single and just create a life that she loves. And that a lot of time does the trick.
That's what I've started telling people too.
Right?
It's like, just what would you do if you weren't only with this one person? Because I think too, there's the loneliness of what I hear is like, I'm around people all the time because we know that it's lonelier to be around people all the time and still feel lonely. And I think that is the difficult thing because married women, I think, don't understand that they are lonely because they're like, I'm never alone. But it's like you can be profoundly lonely and be surrounded by people. And that's almost worse. I think,
so much worse.
It's so confusing and discombobulating. And that's what, I mean, I have experienced that and I hear that. And I think often when I say to women, like, it sounds like you're lonely, they're kind of confused. And they're like, well, that can't be it. I'm always
with
it's
someone.
like that you're not being met. Like you're not. So anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. Just doing some research.
Yeah. Checking. Great. Good. Okay. So first of all, we want to say, like, again, there's nothing wrong with you. And loneliness is the point, right? Like the capitalism needs us to be lonely for capitalism to convince us to work our lives away in ways that support the billionaire class so that they can buy yachts and islands. We have to remain deeply unfulfilled. And one of the things they say in 12 Steps that I love is connection is the cure. Connection is always, 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 always the cure. And so capitalism has to keep us disconnected and lonely in order for us to work our lives away. So community and belonging, which you're going to talk about, those are the things that are actually deeply fulfilling. And it's more fulfilling, it turns out, than buying yachts and islands. But in order for them to convince us that what's missing in our lives is money and yachts and islands, they have to keep us disconnected from each other. They have to keep us lonely so that they have to flaunt their wealth in this vibration of we are happy because we have all the stuff. But they're not, because if they were, they would stop buying stuff. But they have to flaunt that, and they have to keep us disconnected, and they have to keep us isolated, and they have to keep, like we've talked about on this podcast before, keep us in this vibration of individualism, right? Your problems are your problems. Cognitive behavioral therapy, if you're sad, it's because your thoughts, and you could just fix your thoughts, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. But like, loneliness is the point. It's deliberate. It's not accidental.
Yeah. There's Camus said, and somebody gave me this quote like 20 years ago. I still have it memorized, and I don't have anything memorized anymore. And he said, tyrants engage in monologues over millions of solitudes. And it's like,
Amen.
that's the name of the game. Because
Yes.
as long, and I think about, we watched season 1 of, I think you watched season 1 of Silo. I watched season 1 and then we gave up.
Yeah.
But like
Got
the
boring.
visual at the end of season 1, when they realize the thing, which I will not say in case you haven't seen it, but it's like
Genius.
the visual of understanding that people can be in silos and not even understand that they're silos.
Oh, totally.
And like, then all of and that's part of what this is. It's convincing us that it feels good to be alone. It's convincing us that screens are more like are going to make us feel better than people do.
Right.
And it's and I also think about how like we know that with abusers, what's the first thing that anyone can tell you that abusers do?
Isolate.
Is they isolate the victim.
Totally.
And that is what, and so I think we have to really think about that.
Yeah.
When we're thinking like, oh, I don't need to go to that thing, or I don't need people, or I'll just stay home and I just want to be comfortable on my couch. Like sometimes, sure, but like we really need to think about the fact that like, to what extent have we been convinced that like being alone feels better than being with people? And like, does it? Is this really good for us?
Right.
Because people don't seem to be doing well with it.
Turns out.
So, yeah.
The 2 quotes that I love that I quote to people all the time are another one from the 12 steps where it says in the big book, until we stop feeling special, we will not get well. Love. We could say that about the entire United States of America. Mm-hmm. And then the other quote that I think about all the time is from A Course in Miracles, which she says, God cannot be remembered alone. I love that as well. I think that's so beautiful. So,
wow.
Some more quotes.
Love that.
Right?
Love that. So I had to go do research because I feel like this loneliness thing can be hard to see sometimes. So, Paula will bring like the spiritual, lovely, wonderful quotes and all the deep thinking, and I will bring some like down to the earth grounded facts.
Great.
But I went back into, because I really honestly also I wanted to check some of what I had thought or read, and I was like, is this actually true? So I went back into the Surgeon General's report, which does exist, called Our Epidemic of Loneliness and Isolation, the U.S. Surgeon General's Advisory on the Healing Effects of Social Connection and Community. It was released in 2023, which is when we were coming out of the pandemic. Yes?
Out
was that
of
the
the
end?
yeah.
Out of the, right. We're not really out, but we were coming out of quarantine and all that.
Right. These
are just some facts from it that I was like, wow.
Yeah.
1 in 2 adults in America is experiencing loneliness. So I think it's important to just assume anyone is lonely. Because I think we assume I'm the only one that is lonely and no one else is lonely. And so I'll just look up this thing on Google, and I'm like, if you're looking up like an emotional thing on, I don't know, call somebody. Maybe like call or text.
If you're asking ChatGPT about whether or not you're lonely, you're lonely.
Like, yeah, maybe try a human and not assume you will be burdening them that they might be lonely too, because statistically the odds are in your favor.
Yes.
The mortality impact of loneliness is similar to smoking 15 cigarettes a day.
Girl. Yes.
It hurts our bodies.
It's bad for you.
And I have been through spells. I mean, I went through the pandemic. We all did.
Yeah.
And I've been through spells of intense loneliness, and like I think in the pandemic I was not aware of it. I think many of us weren't.
Right.
I can feel it in my body, like starting to like you kind of wither. Like 15 cigarettes a day. Is that a pack? I don't know. Is that a pack?
Is
more
20.
than a pack? A pack is almost a pack of cigarettes a day.
I remember that from the 90s. Do you love that? I haven't even seen
now it's probably 12 and they sell it for the same amount. But whatever.
I haven't seen a pack of cigarettes since 1999, but yeah, amazing. Yeah.
And I thought this was interesting. The rate of loneliness. So typically loneliness has gone up among older adults, like elders, which kind of makes sense.
Totally.
The rate of loneliness among young adults has increased every year since which year, Paula?
1976. Who was born in 1976?
When we were born. Here we are.
Here we are.
What's up?
Right. Yeah.
So That's interesting. I don't know. I mean, we could blame it on the TV. We could blame it on the boomers and their
I mean,
parenting.
I
We could
blame
blame,
it.
but like,
I blame it on the fact that
what do you
that's,
blame it on?
I mean, the minute you said that, I was like, that's 20 years, 20, 25 years after everybody started moving out to the suburbs and everybody living in their boxes next to other boxes. And that's 20 years after like the nuclear family is the only thing that exists. So people no longer live. I mean, I had this couple that just moved into my neighborhood. I love them. They're older. They're in their 70s, a gay couple that both of them grew up in Queens. And the way they talk about their child, one is one of 8 Italian, one is one of 9 Irish, right? But like the way they talk about the childhood of just like children everywhere and everybody's mom was your mom and like, hi, Mrs. Hi, Mrs. Hi, Mrs. Right. And like, that way they talk about that. And then in the 50s, after World War II, right when the boomers were being born, right? Like, no, we're moving out to the suburbs because the way to announce our Americanness, our, wealth, our superiority is to buy a box in the suburbs and live disconnected from everybody else.
And not have to live with mom and dad. And we
right.
could even wonder,
Right.
if we were curious people, we could wonder if that is part of, so we could say like, oh, well, that's when the boomers were parenting. So I guess this is probably their fault. Or were the boomers shitty parents because they were the first ones doing it that
Make
way,
his face when
alone?
Make his face when you said we're the boomer shitty parents. Make his face was like, like that meme of like, interesting. That was great.
But like, you do have to wonder if they were responding. I mean, I think back, and I mean, I had grandparents that were not living with us, but they were much more in our lives.
Oh,
and like,
yeah.
I feel like people are available now because we live across the country. So I look back and I feel like I had like half of what you were describing. But I do wonder if it's like, well, maybe this is all just a result of everybody parenting and existing in this box. And maybe that is just the source of all the stress and all the yuckiness because it's not
All the same.
what we are meant to be doing.
No.
It's just not great.
Well, great. So that segues into what I was going to talk about, and I think you have it written down too, of the obsession with safety. So, like,
Yes.
this is so. I don't think we realize that this is so new. And the way Eckhart Tolle talks about it, which I really like the way he talks about it, is he noticed that right after 9/11, all of a sudden there was like parenting became about keeping kids safe. And he talks about, I like this, and maybe I said this on the podcast already, so excuse me if I did, but he noticed that like it used to be on the school's like board out in front of the school, it used to say like have a good summer, and then all of a sudden it said have a safe summer. And he was like, interesting, right? And because kids are they're never alone with peers anymore. Never alone with peers. So they spend all of their time with adult supervision. They don't really know how. I mean, we can all agree that junior high and being a 12-year-old in the world is fucking torture. However, it taught us to tolerate the awkwardness that is figuring out social stuff and right. And like, there's no. And I'm not a parent, so I'm not trying to say we should parent differently, because who the fuck am I to say that? But like, what I hear from parents and the vibration of parenting nowadays is no matter what, I will keep my kids safe. But like it says in The Artist's Way, safety is a very expensive illusion. So what is the expense of like just safety at all costs? And what kind of person results in a childhood that's completely organized around the parental fear? Like, that's not going to be a social kid if their whole life is organized around fear and around parents' fears, Well,
because Jonathan Haidt has been studying, like, he's the guy studying kids and screens, and he wrote The Age of Anxiety and like why the kids are so anxious.
Yeah.
And what he found, there was an article, I don't know if it just came out or if I just happened to see it, but the kids, he's like, they researched all the kids and they were like, why are you guys always on your iPads? Why are you guys, because they socialize now almost entirely via screens.
Yeah.
And they were basically like, because we can't, this is the only place we can
be
be without
alone.
supervision.
Yeah.
It is the only, because the parents aren't going to let you roam the neighborhood.
We can't.
Because and this is systemic, right? Because
Right.
I actually would like for my kids to be roaming much further, and I'm afraid somebody's going to call the
CPS
police
on
me.
you. Totally.
Because parents, there was those parents that got like arrested and jailed because their kid got hit by a car because he was walking home in
walking
a
to
safe
7-Eleven.
way
Yeah.
with his brother and got hit by a car because like he stumbled off the whatever, and the parents are in jail. And it wasn't a case where it was like somebody was drunk or not paying. It was just like these kids were like walking home. They were doing something independently and something bad happened. And now we have to punish grieving
The parents.
So it's like
Yep.
the parents are in this. I'm actually less afraid of what will happen to my children. I'm like, childhood has inherent risks.
Yeah.
Things happen. I'm more afraid of like these systems descending upon me. And
Right.
so you have parents now in this bind, but he's like, the kids have told us why they're on the screens all the time. And it's because it's the only way that they can have freedom.
Yes.
And I'm just like, none of this
is good.
is good.
No.
Like none of this. And I'm not blaming
parents.
No. Because parents are being told this is the job.
And right, to keep them
if
safe.
If you tell parents the job is to keep them safe and nothing bad should ever happen to them, well, guess what? You're going to create a bunch of really anxious parents. And of course, a parent's worst nightmare is something bad happening to their child. But we have to also understand like that is part of letting a child live. And there is an inherent.
Yeah.
And I think we were raised with a little too much live, probably, or at least no safe space to go to say, hey, the living is getting a little bumpy. I'm getting the crap kicked out of me. Like, any thoughts?
Your parents are like, you're fine.
You'll figure it out. Yeah, you're fine. So, I think the pendulum had swung a bit far, but like, this is way too far the other. And I think it's also manifesting in why even adults are lonely, because no one will be cringy, no one will take a risk, no one will be awkward.
Oh, totally.
We have no ability to tolerate awkwardness or weirdness in anyone else.
Totally.
And so what does that mean? You're only safe sitting at home doom scrolling.
Yeah.
It's like we're all stuck now trying to be safe and never take a risk and everything's fine.
Right.
It's like, oh, this isn't good.
That was my next point was like, if parents are making sure kids like I have clients who are parents who come to sessions with me, their therapy time, and are like really concerned that their kids don't have enough friends. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe your kid's a dork. I don't know. Like, he'll be fine. What do you want to talk about? No. And they're like, the parents are orchestrating all of the kids' social interactions. When I was thinking about like moving here, right? And like when I moved here, we didn't have a lot of friends because I hadn't lived in California in 25 years. And like I sort of wedged myself into this friend group, which I'm very happy to do. But like part of it was, and I think I've said this on here before, my mantra was like, being the new kid is hard. Being the new kid is hard. Because it was awkward to like text this new friend group and like, do you guys want to hang out? Mm-hmm. And it's like, it's awkward. But like I learned, I think being an only child is helpful too, because it was either be awkward or hang out with my fucking parents. But like we don't have any tolerance anymore for the awkwardness, and like it's a little cringe and I'm a little cringe, and do you like me and do you want to hang out and do you want to make plans with me? It's a little cringe. But like if we don't have any tolerance for it, then you're going to be alone and you're going to be lonely, and it's really bad for you.
And yes, I have two thoughts. One is I have people that I work with that constantly feel like I'm lame, I'm pathetic because I don't have enough friends, because their parents were constantly telling them, you don't have enough friends, and their parents had anxiety about it. And the kid was a kid that really only needed one or two friends. Because some kids, what they say now, the child development people, that they're like, they need one. A kid needs one good friend. One is enough. Like, and some kids need more. Like, I was always pretty extroverted and always had a friend group. But like, some kids can't manage that. They
You're
don't
a Leo.
want that.
Of course you had a friend group. Yeah.
Yeah. You know how I am. But like a lot of kids, that's not their, like my youngest son cannot handle social groups. I mean, he's very young, so he can't do more than 2 or 3 kids. And like, that's fine. But he may always be somebody who's going to need like less inputs to manage. And if we constantly do this more thing, about social interaction. So first of all, that's, can be just as harmful. And
Yes.
then I do think sometimes there's a difference between like, I am going to go make my child's friends for me and for them, and like make it so that they have 5 friends so that I am comfortable, and saying, whoa, my kid seems to be having some trouble with like boundaries, or my kid
Yeah.
might need some help and providing the child with skills.
Yeah.
Figuring out where does the kid maybe need some help or need some skills.
Yeah.
And, parents, it's like if we were to watch that instead of looking at this numbers game and like they have to be the most popular kid in school, it's teaching this sort of like empty
Quantity,
connection
yes.
instead of teaching a child like who feels good to be around.
Exactly.
Who doesn't feel
Who's
good
your
to be
toddler belly
around.
friends?
Yeah,
Yes.
who isn't? Because that's what I teach my kids is like, oh, it sounds like that person is not like making you feel great
The
about
vibes are
yourself.
off. Yeah.
Let's not keep them just because we need a quota.
What? And different people. I mean, I've always had a lot of friends, but like my life partner does not need a lot of friends. Literally, Nameka is the only person that my partner can hang around for hours and hours and hours. Basically, because all they do is talk about, I don't know what you guys talk about, comic books probably, but like, right? But like, they've been friends for like 30 years, but like, Carla just doesn't need, and that's the thing too, of like recognizing in your heart, in your system, in your, if you're honest with yourself, do you like a lot of friends? Do you like floating around from group to group? That's always been my vibe. Or do you need like one person? Or do you need like 2 people? And that's true too.
And I think, oh, go ahead.
I just want to say I think one of the things that I've talked to so many specifically female identifying people about is the friend group. Right? That like I need everybody has a friend group but me. And there was an article that came out in Self magazine like 2 years ago that I was so grateful for. That was like the female friend group is a scam created by fucking Sex in the City. That like nobody has this. This is not real. Right. And so like, because it makes women, and maybe I think a lot of times gay men can get into this too, that they need their friend group and they need their group and they have it, right? Like it makes this like, if that feels good to you, then great. But like that everybody else has one and you don't is not real. And it makes people feel bad about themselves because they don't have one of these things that like, it just happens on TV. that's not really happening everywhere.
No. And I was going to add about the married women. Think about the contradiction. It's a very weird contradiction we have, which is you need more and more and more friends. You have to have more friends. Everyone needs many friends. You have to be popular. And then you get married and suddenly you're told all you need is him.
Ew.
All you need is him.
Gross.
So I think part of what's happening is then married women feel bad because often the man, like Carlo and Nameka and my partner, they don't need friends. And I don't know we should probably that could be a separate episode on the male loneliness epidemic. I don't even know. It doesn't make any sense to me, but it's not my life. But you have this guy who's like, all I need is you and maybe Nameka. And then you have this woman who's like, I feel profoundly lonely. What is wrong with me?
Right.
What is wrong with me? Because you are supposed to be enough.
Right.
And for most women, that's at least, I mean, if you're Leos, I don't know, if you're me, it's like, that is not enough. Like I am currently underfriended and I can feel it and I have to go figure that out and do work.
Good.
But it's like this whole, and then women feel guilty for giving their well, I'm supposed to spend all my time with him and now he's lonely if I go and meet with my girlfriends and now, and this
tell him
whole
to get some
weird,
fucking
and
friends.
it's like, yeah, exactly. I'm like, he's fine. If he wanted friends, he'd go get some. Like that's his job.
Exactly.
And but it is this weird contradiction. And I think it is messing with women's abilities to feel like they can and should nurture relationships with themselves, which is feeding female isolation and loneliness.
Right.
And then, I don't know, is the male loneliness, and Nameka, is it real? Because you guys don't seem to need anyone. Is the male loneliness epidemic real? Do you only need Carlo? Are we inventing it? What is happening?
do. I mean, Carlo's enough for me. But so I work at, Amazon.
Right.
And I'm friendly towards, them at work. But out of work, I really don't. Maybe there's one coworker where I'm like friendly with. And speaking to him, he admits that he's super lonely.
Oh,
And he feels that if he had a girlfriend or a wife, that would be enough for him,
interesting.
Of
Of
but
course.
I'm like,
Because the
okay,
girlfriend, no,
you
but
do
you
you.
know what?
Right.
The girlfriend brings the social network.
Yes.
The
Okay.
wife brings,
Because
it's not
everything
just
is
the
a
wife.
woman's responsibility.
The wife brings the whole social world to him.
Right.
Right? I don't,
Mhm.
so anyway,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a mess, but I do think the messaging, if you start to look at what we are all taught, is really contradictory and makes no sense.
Well, I think there's something to be said too about the fact that Carlo doesn't have any straight male friends. All of Carlo's friends are gay, right? And gay and queer people tend to honor and prioritize friendship more than straight people are taught to, right? Straight people are taught to like we talked about in the heteronormativity and
Right.
the amoronormativity episode, right? And so Carlo has a lot of, I mean, like he basically only needs to make up. But in terms of how, since we moved here, he has male friends that he just is in contact with that I don't know them, but they're all gay. He doesn't have any straight
That
friends.
makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
Well, because men, they're afraid of being gay, so they're taught
Right.
just go achieve things, but make your
Carlo's
friends
not
do the
afraid of being
woman
gay.
because that's not gay.
right.
Yeah, and he doesn't care.
Right.
But I think that's part of what's happened. It's like, well, it's gay for me to like call a bunch of guys
Care
and
about
whatever,
friends.
but I'll just
yeah,
but my wife will plan all these parties and keep our whole social calendar and do all this work.
Right.
And then I get to have all of this with no labor. And I think that's how we get to a male loneliness epidemic, because then the women are like, I'm out. This isn't. And then the men they don't know how to do it.
They don't
have
know
none
how
of
to
the
do
skills to do it.
yeah. They don't know how to do it. It's true. That's true. I mean, that's what happened to my father. Once my mom passed away, my dad has no friends because he doesn't know how to call anybody. He doesn't know how to. It's like
Yeah.
he doesn't know how to care.
Well, and that's why back to the kids.
Yeah.
That's the dangerous place that we're in with the kids, because the screens, I think, are interfering with the building of the social skills. But then also, if the parents are doing that for them,
Yeah.
it's like no one is building the skills of like, how do I be in a relationship, build a relationship? How
Yeah.
do I realize I'm lonely and need to go get friends?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. It's also it's also a function. It's a function of capitalism, and if it's a function of capitalism, it's almost always a function of white supremacy. And it is a function of white supremacy because when I was growing up, I remember my mom loved to go back to her neighborhood, which was a barrio in Oakland, because there were people everywhere. Because in the Mexican culture, it's not so insular that the white people buy a box and then they go live in their box and they don't talk to anybody else in all the other boxes. And in my mom's old neighborhood, like there were the aunties, there were the tias everywhere and the tios everywhere, and my mom was like, and this is Maria, and this is and there is more of that in non-white cultures, right? Like I love in South Asian culture the like aunties, and in Black culture like my cousin, and this is my cousin, and this is my cousin, right? Like there's so much more community when the focus isn't on power and money. The focus is on community, and there's so much more community building in non-white cultures, which is like, of course there is.
Yeah, we have neighbors that we're friends with that live across the street, kids the same age as my sons. They are not white. And they are always, their son was telling me, he was like, oh, on Fridays we go over and we have, and he was describing this buffet that gets laid out of
Yes.
the kebab and the rice. And Paula, I almost started crying because
want
he
to
was
eat
like,
that.
and my aunt does this and my grandma does that and blah, blah, blah. And they're always off with their family, like
Yeah.
when my kids want to play with them or whatever. And it is so different. And I know there are some like white families where their family's local or whatever, but he was describing this event and
Yes.
they invite my son to go to some of their like,
Great.
the ceremonies or the festivals or whatever. And I'm just like, it is so profoundly sad to not have that. Cause I grew up with some,
Yes.
extended family, and to have to generate the energy to do all of that
Yes.
on your own, like every
Yes.
holiday, every whatever. And he's describing this buffet that happens every Friday with his cousins.
Every
and I was
Friday?
just like, I'm every Friday, Paula. And I'm just sitting there like, can I come? Like, I want to go. Like, I'm
it.
like literally almost in tears Because there is, I mean,
Beautiful.
I don't think I'm weird in saying like I don't have that, and I think it is really sad.
Most white
and
people
it
don't.
Sucks.
Yeah, of course.
And I think it sucks for our kids that they don't.
Of
but like, I mean, I
course.
can't go invent it, but it was very striking to me. I was like, wow, that's a stark difference.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I have a friend a white lady who married a Indian man, and when she got pregnant, she was like, "I will not be raising this kid in." They lived in Rockville. "I will not be raising this kid in Rockville." So they moved to where he has a huge amount of cousins, and in the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania. And she's like, "I thought I would be lonely because I moved away from all my, white girlfriends in Rockville. There are always South Asian people in my house." And they always bring food, and I love them so much. And sometimes I'm like, "Can you please get the hell out of my house?" But then I see my daughter, my half brown daughter, my half Indian daughter, who's around all these aunties, and like, I'm like, that's so beautiful. Good for you. Get the fuck out of
Yeah, and
Rockville.
kids need that. They need
Yes.
many adults because, like,
Yes.
anyway, it's a whole thing.
Yes.
It's very sad.
Right,
But
but
it's
that's
where we are
another-
because of the boxes.
Those are the boxes, and that's another reason why, right? Like the kids don't have. I mean, obviously my family was white, but my parents had so many friends, and we had so many friend gatherings. Like I have people in my life who I think of as aunt, like my mom's best friend Janie, who is like an aunt to me because she was always around, and like that's a big deal. And I have clients who say my parents never had friends. It's like, oh God.
And I grew up with people I thought that's what having kids, I thought, because we had people in our house all the time.
Well,
I mean,
your
we
dad was the
always-
town grocer, right? So of course he knew
our
everybody.
I mean, he was, but it was really my mom doing. It was like the friends and the parents of the friends and the Halloween party and the Al-Anon ladies. I mean, we always had people.
Al-Anon ladies.
And I think it has been shocking to me. And I do have I'm like, is it just me? But I don't think it is.
It's
I
not.
have been trying strategically to like build a village because I'm like, kids need that. I don't know how to build a village. It's like impossible.
Yeah.
Like everyone is too busy. They're too tired. I have a friend who managed to build a village in North Carolina. But it is very, very difficult to do. And it's like, I think it makes a profound difference in kids' lives when they have that sense of like,
Yes.
people always being around versus just people in the box.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I used to go to church with the next door neighbor.
Yeah.
My mom was like, "Get out
I've
of
been to every church on the planet.
Go to church.
I mean, there is not a denomination I have not been to.
Go to church. Go to church with Wanda. I don't know. Get out of my house. Whatever." My last thing I wanted to say, and this is like, to turn everything we've said on its head, is looking back over my life, the times that I've felt the loneliest, and you already touched upon this, is the times when I've been so disconnected from myself. And the loneliest, like you already said, the loneliest I've ever felt is when I was in relationships with a lot of people for whom I had to perform, or I felt like I had to perform in order to be in relationship. So I've come to realize that the degree to which I feel like I have to abandon myself in relationship is the degree to which I feel lonely. And so as much as everything we're saying in terms of like, make friends, everybody's lonely, give yourself permission to be awkward, give yourself permission to like, be the junior high kid and say, "Will you hang out with me?" And build a relationship with yourself also. Like, no, it's like these two things are true at the same time because everything that's true is a paradox. Do that, but then also nobody outside of you can give you what you deserve, what you want. There is nobody outside of you that can cure what is inside of you. And like, there's so many women I feel like that walk around thinking the man is going to cure it, or the friend is going to cure it. Or I have like 50-year-old women saying like, "I just need a best friend." And I'm like, do you? I mean, maybe you do, but like, also like, how much do you love yourself? How much do you love hanging out with yourself? And I know this is the opposite of everything we just said, but like, if you can like love yourself fully and never ever abandon yourself when you're in relationships with people, I feel like then the community or the village sort of falls in line, right? So that when you're alone, you don't have to be lonely because you are your own best friend. Again, I know that's like fucking opposite of everything we just said, but it's not, I think the loneliness,
Well, I
especially for
don't
women.
I don't think it is though in that because we do need other people.
Yes.
So but I think there is a perfectionism vibration
Yes.
to like, I need a best friend.
Yeah.
I need a group of friends that looks like Sex in the City. I need a husband. And when I see people, and I think that creates this like, well, I was going to be friends with this person, but then they said one thing that I didn't agree with.
Well,
And,
that's,
and it's like, do you need a best friend? Like,
Right.
it's again that like this elevating. It's like, do you need a best friend or do you need like 5 good ones? Like, you know what I mean?
People
Do
you can play
do
games
need, like,
with
a
or whatever.
Perfect, because I think
yeah.
there's a way that we want this one comfortable person, and I think this is kind of towards my last point. It's like we want this one comfortable person so that we don't have to put forth a lot of effort or be uncomfortable or do anything. And it's like that, if you keep looking for that, you will be lonely. And I actually
Yes.
think that might be under a lot of why people are lonely. It's like sometimes can you accept the good, just trade the good for the perfect?
Yeah.
Like, do you need a best friend or can you just go to coffee with this one person and see how it is? And I think like hanging, like, so what I was thinking about is like human behavior. If I assume nothing is wrong with everyone and we are all lonely and we are all isolated and we are all on our screens too much, why
Yeah.
is that? The interactions I think are becoming less rewarding. So which is that we are not able to tolerate people being cringy and awkward. It's like, oh, she was weird. She's not what I'm looking for in a best friend. So, okay, I'm going to get rid of her. And then,
Right.
or you go to interact socially and no one will be vulnerable because we're all trying to be perfect and look fine.
And perform.
Which is not rewarding, and perform. That's
Totally.
not rewarding.
Totally.
Like, I have so many people in my practice that say they wouldn't tell their best friend or friends what's really going on. Like they'll tell me something in therapy and I'll say, how many people in your life know this? Oh, I would never tell my friends this. Well, then what is the point? What are we
Right.
doing?
Right.
That's not rewarding. And so then you say a vulnerable thing, and I do this a lot. And what I get back a lot is like this kind of flat, invulnerable response that I think we've been trained into. Well, then I'm not going to do it again. And I'm like, well, I'll just scroll on my phone. Like we have to be willing to be cringy to make relationships and interaction rewarding. And also sometimes it's not. We also have to tolerate like the boringness of relationships and just showing up when we don't want to and like doing things when we're not in a good mood. Like this whole thing about, well, it's a boundary to flake out. Well, if everybody keeps flaking out, people are going to stop wanting to hang out. It's like this whole thing cascades.
Yeah.
And it feels very perfectionistic.
It
to
is
me.
very
it's
perfectionistic.
Like it doesn't have to be this serious, guys.
Right. And it's not a job that people are applying for. It's just to have community, like bloom where you're planted, like love the one you're with. It's moving here. I realized that it's definitely like quality over quantity, and not quality of humans, but like, I think the left isn't, I think they fucked us over with cancel. I feel like there's a cancel culture vibration to this, right?
Yes.
It reminds me of Adrienne Marie Brown, like, we will not cancel us, right? Like there are people with whom I am now in community with now in California that like are, sometimes they're dumb or sometimes they're selfish or sometimes they're ill-informed, and that's okay, right? Like, cause it's worth it to just have, at the end of the day, I can tolerate somebody because sometimes I'm annoying and I'm dumb and I'm selfish and I'm ill-informed, right? And if I can't tolerate somebody else being that, then I can't tolerate myself being that. And that's kind of what I'm saying of like, if you just love yourself infinitely, you can love everybody infinitely, and you can't, we're not looking for the perfect relationship, we're looking for relationship, right? Like all of the people that we're running around.
Good enough.
It's fine.
We're like, good enough mothers, and we are looking for good enough friends.
Right. Like community is more important than like the constant comfort of like finding that one, and I think this is like, this is heteronormative. This is what we were talking about in terms of like the Prince Charming thing and like the best friend. Carlo and I, as you know, watch stupid, terrible reality television. And the number of times women say like, well, she's my best friend. And that's how we always say it. She's my best friend. And it's like, okay, this is so intense. Like, everyone just calm down. Like, just be in, like the amoebas that bump into each other, and then like just be warm and loving to everybody. You don't have to look for the perfect friend. You can just look for some, people to be around. People that you will bring you a casserole when your mom dies. People that you will want to bring a casserole to when their mom dies. That's enough. That's okay. They don't have to be good
enough.
people.
It doesn't have to be a hierarchy. We don't have to rank anybody.
That's
you
the
don't
ranking.
Have to like everything
right.
And that way, when we let other people not be perfect, it lets us not be perfect. Because there is the other thing is like there is so much shame. About like I shouldn't talk about this. I shouldn't feel this way. I shouldn't have this problem. And it's just like, oh my God, if everybody is swimming in that shame, no one is being real, and that's what's making the interactions not rewarding.
Because everyone's performing.
Interesting. Yeah. Who wants to go to coffee and it's a performance? I went on dates like that. I don't want to do that. Like that's not the point.
No.
Of course nobody's going to do that.
It's a conversation. It's not a performance. It's a conversation.
Yeah.
It's not a performance. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's part of it too, is like the worried about being canceled or worried about being, and I think a lot of times when people identifying people socialize female, there's so many rules about like being a good friend and like blah, blah, and it's like, oh my God, everyone just be nice. It's cool.
And we were, I will say it's because when I think about a lot of the relationships that I have, especially in adulthood, they started with a cringy thing.
Of course.
I wrote you a cringy note being a Secret Santa. I was like, I don't know. She might think this is totally dorky. I don't care. Like they started, and I did make a friend who was a not white person, is anyone surprised, in my neighborhood. And it was because we both were like, are you feeling, I'm feeling
profoundly lonely.
Are you feeling, and we were trying to remember yesterday, like how we got there, because we'd both been concerned about the same like political issues, but it started a little cringy with just like I had to be vulnerable and be like, I am noticing XYZ.
Yeah.
Are you noticing that also? And then she was like, oh, you are maybe a safe person I can talk to about XYZ.
Yeah.
And now we're, you know what I mean? Like we have to be weird.
Yes.
You have to be as an adult.
Like
you must be a geek to make friends as an adult.
The
you just
dorks
have to.
are the best people. Why do you think I love Lady Gaga so much? She's a dork. She's such a dork. I love her.
I will never believe you that Lady Gaga
She's
is
a dork.
That it does not make any sense to me. The Indigo Girls I will buy. I don't know.
Oh, Amy and Emily are such dorks. But
yes.
Donald Glover just said in an interview, I will not at the end of my life be so grateful that I wasn't cringe. I will cringe. Like, right? Like nobody in their deathbed is like, thank God I wasn't cringe. Everything
thank God
good.
I was so cool.
Yeah, right?
It was so rewarding to be cool
and
every
lonely.
minute of the day.
Right.
Can you imagine being cool all the time?
Everything
First of all,
good
I could
starts
never
with
figure
cringe.
out how, but even if I did, it sounds so boring.
So boring. Everything good starts out cringe. Everything good. We hope that was helpful. I feel like we bounced around, but like if you have questions or thoughts about lonely or loneliness in America in late stage capitalism, or if you have thoughts about the male lonely, I don't know. I just think the male loneliness epidemic is because for generations and generations, they had other people doing all of their social interacting for them. And I just think they're out of practice. And now it's all the women's fault because everything is a woman's fault.
Yes, it's all our fault.
Right. But if they, if they're willing to be cringe, then they'd be fine. That's it.
Yeah. Or maybe they just don't mind being lonely. Maybe we're just blowing the whole thing out of proportion and they are robots.
Maybe they should pull themselves up by their fucking bootstraps. I don't know.
Now Paula's mad.
Now I'm mad. Anything where we have to take care of men makes me mad.
Cut.
Yeah. Please like us and subscribe and give us some iTunes reviews. And always, 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 we are eager to hear your thoughts and feedback. If you want to hear us talk about or explore something that you think is closely related to mental health and or the fact that there's nothing wrong with you, please let us know. And we'll talk to you next time.
This podcast and any written materials related to it represent the opinions of Paula Atkinson and Lisa Kiggs and our guests to the show and any written materials. The content here should not be taken as medical advice. It is for informational and educational purposes only, and because each person is so unique, please consult your healthcare professional for any medical questions. In no way does listening, reading, emailing, or interacting on social media with our content establish a doctor-patient relationship.